back in the studio now with Roy O'Connor, who's going to bring us up to date on what the board of directors has been doing lately. They just had a meeting, and we'll find out what's going on. Welcome, Roy.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing, Yvonne?
Fine.
Good to see you again.
Good.
We had before I talk about the board meeting, which was held on Friday, I'd like to talk a little bit about our board community relations committee, which is made up of 3 board members, myself, Jackson Bain, and Betty Price. And we met on November 2nd with Chandra Kumar, executive director, and then we also had a lunch meeting with the officers of the resident council. Mary Sue, the president, and then we talked to Peggy Kellers, the vice president, and then Ron Patterson, secretary. But we had these meetings that this past year we met 4 times actually, 2 times with the whole resident council. So the point I'd like to make to the residents is that we try to communicate often with your representatives, the council itself. So we had good exchange, and I think these meetings is a chance on a very informal basis to just talk about what's happening at Green Spring, what's going on, the good things, maybe the things that aren't so good, but concerns, issues.
So your job as communication committee then really is to go between our resident council and the board, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, but I'd like to talk a little bit about that, and also the structure of that committee and how it's going to fit with the new structure. There's some changes coming in the board of directors next year. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then if we have some time, I'll talk about our most recent meeting, which was just last Friday, held out at Ashby Ponds, for the South Region Board, all 4 communities. So with that, I'll just say a little bit about the Community Relations Committee. When you think about, well, what are the duties of this group? First of all, we have to try to meet with management, as needed, and we also work with the Budget and Finance Committee of the board during the budget review process, which we have just completed.
Right.
We also do, we actually prepare a management performance evaluation. I might have mentioned that last time or we were here, but we do this once a year on an annual basis. And we send that to, there's another committee on the board called the Operations and Risk Management Committee. So we give them an input, and it's a regular formal report, just like maybe when you were at work, you got a performance review. Well, we do a review on the management team here, and against a set of goals that they set for the year, and then we try to go through and give it a very objective report. We also we do review the resident satisfaction survey along with the whole board. That this year should be coming in December, next month, the results. And also the employee engagement survey. We look at that too, which is similar to our resident one. But part of our responsibility is to meet with the executive director during the year. And we also like to meet with the resident council at least twice a year. But our plan, this year we actually met with them 4 times, but basically once a quarter. And we can plan to continue that. I mean, I think it's been a very good, two-way exchange. And of course, the committee should be here, see the facility, tour the campus, observe, the operations, what's going on. And we also review the compliance reports, and these are prepared by the staff here. The compliance officer is basically the associate exec director who puts that all together. But we cover all of their reports they make. We have home health, we have certified home health, we have the hospice, we have the continuing care of Garden Ridge. So all of these have to make certain reports to both state and federal because of Medicare, Medicaid. Of course, we participate in the town hall meetings, and we've been doing this now actually since the middle of 2016, believe it or not. So the fall town hall, and then both the spring town hall where we were here at those, and we'll be here next month when we have the December one. And we send reports each time the board meets. We give a report to the overall board. Okay, and so those are just some of the the duties of this committee. And I think the key thing is that we are the key communications link between the board and the community. And so we try to get input from not only the management team, but also from the residents, and we do that via the resident council. We also, like at our spring town hall, we actually had a reception after the meeting, so
Right.
any of the residents could go up and talk to any of the people that were present. So we hope that way we get constantly getting feedback, so what's going on, and because that's part of our oversight responsibility. And I might just mention something on that too. The overall responsibility of the board, of course, is to make sure we're achieving our mission. Also, to perform oversight of the management team here. Again, for those new residents who don't know, the board actually hires the Erickson team. And the Erickson company is a management company, and they have full responsibility for managing the site. So we have to kind of look over their shoulders and make sure that
they're doing what we want them done
That's
to
right,
do.
exactly.
I wonder sometimes if people realize they have that chance, say for instance, to talk to a member of the resident council of their concerns.
Yeah.
Because I hear people complaining, and yet they don't seem to know who to go to get that complaint listened to.
I mean, that absolutely is an excellent point, because the council's doing a great job. I mean, they have, 8 standing committees. They have over 100 residents serving on those committees.
Right.
So if you can't catch a member of the council, you can get one of the committees or a resident
And those
member.
are posted on the bulletin board.
Yeah, and it's there on the bulletin board, as you mentioned. Their pictures are up and the names and what they're responsible for. And, that does feedback. I often do that myself. I say, well, have you reported that to anyone?
Right, right.
And, and the other thing, too, is even backing up from that. If you have a problem like a day-to-day, say it's housekeeping or say it's general services, first step is you actually call them, I mean,
Right.
they have a line, and then if that doesn't work, then you have the committees and the resident council, because they're in a position they meet regularly with
Right.
the directors of each of the departments every month, and then also with the team, the officers of the council meet twice a month with the executive director, Shanda Kumar, and so, get to one of them, and and particularly, if it affects more than just one person.
Right,
I mean, we have some
right.
individual things we want to take care of, but if you see something which you are concerned about, I mean,
Right.
so that's a good point. So
Yeah.
thank you on that. And the last one is about, ethics and social responsibility. That, what are we doing in this area? And the board is very, very much in favor of being responsible neighbors, responsible to our community, and the residents here do a lot. I mean, in terms of giving, and whether it's English as a second language or tutoring at the
Right.
elementary schools or all of those kind of things. So that's kind of, a little bit about what's going on with the CRC, okay? And we're trying to foster that. Now, as far as the board meeting last Friday, let's talk a little bit
Yes.
about that. We met at Ashby Ponds. When I say we, it's the South Region Board, and it's the 4 communities of Riderwood and Oakcrest in Maryland, Ashby Ponds, and ourselves here in Virginia. And that's usually our format. And 4 times a year we meet on this, and we rotate to different campuses. So we met out at Ashby, and in a board meeting, some people say, well, what goes on in a board meeting? I said, well, the first thing is we get a performance report from Erickson Management. Okay, they talk about the performance. It's Chip Warner, who's the regional vice president for Erickson. So he gives a report, and then on any key things that have happened, events that are held at each of the sites, key initiatives, changes that are going on. And then the finance director, Jim Walters, his gives a report on the finances. And so we go through all that. And then the next thing, we have a report from the actual CRCs for each one. So in this case, Betty Jackson and I give a report that normally I put together and highlight some of the things going on here. For example, I talked about we're almost finished with 2/3 of the window replacements.
Right.
You know, that's a big project.
That is.
Talked about how our new building is going up at Garden Ridge, and how we're doing the interior renovations in Rosewood Court. Just trying to highlight some of those things that are going on. Another thing that I did highlight to them this year is the initiative, which I think is just great, by our hearing loss group led by Maria Lee.
Yes.
And that we're bringing an awareness, I think, throughout the community. We're working with staff now. Chandra Kumar has been very receptive to anything we can do to make improvements to help people with hearing loss. So I just highlighted that to them. I said, you know, we're dealing with a population that, you know, statistically, if you look at it, the number of people, I think it's 75% over the age of 85 had some type of hearing loss.
Right.
And that's also when it's most precipitous. And so that's a large segment of our population.
It is.
So anyway, it was of interest to people. But I think the thing we want to work on now, and it's just the beginning, is to get more awareness with the staff, you know, and how do you provide services to people who have hearing loss, you know. We don't want the doctor sitting there looking at the computer and not looking at you,
Right.
you know, when he's giving you the report, you know, you're trying to
Figure out what they're saying.
Exactly. So those are, you know, some of the kinds of things that we cover. And, you know, Green String's doing very well. Our occupancy numbers are great. Independent living, 98.2%, you know, this is through the end of the third quarter. So,
Right.
so everything looks good there. Our finances, we're a little bit down on our departmental revenues. What I mean by that is, you know, our revenue mainly comes from fees, monthly
Right.
fees. But we also have like home support, certified home health, which people either pay for or Medicare covers. And so we've been running a little bit low in terms of the number of people actually using those services.
Oh.
So it's below the budget. And we also are a little bit low on the continuing care, although the occupancy over there is still very close to budget. Across all the 4 communities, the occupancy rate is very high. Overall, 96% for all 4. So we lead on that, and we always have. I mean, since I've been here,
Right.
we do very well on that.
It's such a well-situated campus.
Absolutely. You know, our employee retention rate is very good too, despite what people may
It
think.
seems like we could lose people all the time.
You know, we're still running at 80% retention this year.
That's good.
Yeah, overall. So we've had some maybe higher profile positions people see, but yeah, so that's good. And we're trying to retain employees. It's very expensive to bring new people in, retrain them, get them in,
Certainly.
especially when they're good, you know, well-performing employees who have that experience. So we're running 80%, and I know the management team is proud of that. I mentioned to them, for example, how well we did on our BCF. We collected over $600,000 in 2017 for the Benevolent Care Fund. That includes the gala, that includes legacy gifts, that includes pledges from residents as well as vendors, staffs, treasure chests, all the people who give to that. And so I think that's very significant. So those kind of reports are given. And then after we finish with that, then there are 8 standing committees that give reports.
Okay.
And then once we get done with those reports, then there's general discussion about any other topics. And then we have a closed executive session for anything that has to be covered in that.
Okay.
So that's a typical type of meeting. But, you know, our performance is going very well. We hope to finish out the year very strong.
Now, you said close executive. Can anyone go to these general meetings?
No, the board meetings are only open to the board
Only
members.
open for the board.
Yeah, and anyone who has to make a report to the board, yeah. But I think even within that, we just have an executive session ourselves
Right.
without management.
Right.
Yeah. And see, what else? Oh, I might mention too that on the CRC, It was announced Betty Price is going to be stepping down from the board at the end of the year. She's going to be moving to Pennsylvania, okay, so she's kind of going into full retirement too.
Okay.
So we'll miss Betty, but I don't know who will replace her, but there will be a
There will
third
be a
person
third
added
person.
for next year on
Okay.
the board.
Thank you so much for your report.
Could I mention just a couple other things coming
Yeah,
up?
we have about 30 seconds.
30 seconds. We did a video on November 2nd, myself, Betty, and Jackson, and it's going to be shown on Channel 6. I think there's a slide on that that shows on Tuesday, November 21st, and on November 23rd
Okay.
at 2 and 8 p.m., and again on December 6th. And I hope you have a chance to take a look at it. I said it to the residents because, again, it explains more about the CRC and our new board structure. And the final thing I'd like to mention is the board town hall will be held on December 7th.
December 7th.
It's a
okay.
Thursday at 11 a.m. Here in the Village Theater.
Okay.
So all the residents are invited.
Okay, so
to
you can
attend.
find out more what the board looks like as well.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the 2018 budget and the fee increases. So
Okay.
I think that might be of interest to a few people.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we have a lot of questions about that fee increase.
Yeah. Well, we try to maintain stability, but you do have pressures on your ongoing operations.
Right.
And but we'll go through all that and explain what drives the budget.
Okay, that might answer a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Roy.
Okay.
Let's see what kind of announcements we have here.